For the past 12 months, an epic battle about animal rights and the future of science has been fought on the streets of Oxford. On one side, activists are hell-bent on preventing the university from building an animal laboratory.
Every brick, every pane of glass, every bolt, nut, screw, piece of wire that goes in there will be contested or be fought over, because the time has come for fighting, not talking. If it takes running battles on the streets of Oxford, then that's what it takes. But whatever it takes, we have to do it!
Many in the university are intimidated. But one scientist is prepared to stand up. Tipu Aziz is a brain surgeon who experiments on monkeys.
And you're not scared for your life?
Yeah, but there's sometimes things you have to do.
In the middle of this battle are patients like 13-year-old Sean Gardner. Without an operation developed on monkeys, Sean faces a life of terrible disability. Does the benefit to the patients justify the harm to the animals? Or does the harm to the animals justify the tactics of the campaigners? And over the next 12 months, in the face of a vitriolic campaign, will the lab actually be built? The sleepy city of Oxford is an unlikely place for a street fight. But it's the home of the proposed building. On the 30th of November 2005, building work restarts after an 18-month gap. Hours after the builders arrive, protesters turn up.
Stop the Oxford Animal Lab! Stop the Oxford Animal Lab! Stop the Oxford Animal Lab! Stop the Oxford Animal Lab!
As the conflict between the animal rights movement and the scientists has unfolded during the past year, I've been watching from a ringside seat. I want to understand the deep passions that drive both sides, to see inside the animal labs, to find out if animal experimentation works, and even if it does, if it's ethical.
Can everyone hear me? Just got something to say. Yesterday morning, the work started on the site, and I want to tell Oxford University, Thames Valley Police, and everyone else, you have got one hell of a fight on your hands. So I serve notice on you now, Oxford University. Beware, the next stage of the battle has only just started, and we will not give in until we've defeated you.
Mel Broughton is the leader of the Speak campaign, a group dedicated to wiping out animal experimentation in Britain. His command centre is a modest bedsit in Northampton, where he lives with his dog Bella. He's invited me here to explain the reason why he's so passionately committed to stopping the lab.
I think it's important that people see the reality of animal research, because all too often the vivisection industry, the Home Office, paint a picture that it's all very nice, it's all very clean, there's no suffering involved, there's no pain involved, there's no stress, the animals are perfectly happy. Images like these show the reality, and the reality is that for these animals, it's a living hell. You can't put it any other way.
These pictures were taken undercover in a Cambridge laboratory.
We're not talking about China here or some far-flung country where we're told there are no regulations, the animals suffer. This is going on now in the UK.
It's not hard to understand anyone's revulsion to images like these. But unlike most people, Mel is determined to do something about them.
If you are going to take the money for building a centre where that kind of thing goes on, where people are allowed to do that to animals, to sentient, thinking, feeling creatures, and expect me to politely ask you to stop, then you can think again. Because at the end of the day, I am going to intimidate you.
Intimidating the builders takes the form of a constant stream of noise.
The builder, can he fix it? You are the builder, no he can't!
Right, Oxford University, this is just the start.
We're not getting out of the way.
This is just the start. We will never back down. This campaign's going to keep coming back time and time again until you you stop abusing animals, until you stop trying to build another animal torture centre. Get used to this, Oxford University. Your troubles have only just started.
This is not a new battle. It began in the spring of 2004 when Oxford University started work on the £18 million animal experimentation laboratory. Threats were issued against the contractors in the name of the Animal Liberation Front. Premises were broken into, and hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage were caused to vehicles, machinery, site offices and equipment. The share price of the building contractors plummeted, and soon all work was stopped on the building. It was a victory for the animal rights movement. For 18 months, the building lay dormant, a symbol of the power of direct action. Now that building work has begun again, the university is prepared. The lab looks more like a military training exercise than a building site. And roles have been reversed. It's the builders rather than the activists who enter and leave the site secretly and wear balaclavas.
Hey, come on, come on!
The university and the police are hiding the contractor's identity so that their shareholders cannot be targeted. As a result, I'm not allowed to get onto the site or interview the workers.
I can be quite clear about this. Someone's going to tell us who they are. We will find out. So them wearing balaclavas isn't going to make any difference. It's just going to make people even more angry.
The Speak campaign claim that this is legitimate protest, but not everybody agrees.
I would say that it is a form of terrorism. In fact, I would call animal rights extremists terrorists, the way they have created this reign of terror in this country, where scientists are afraid to speak out, to educate the public. And I think it is our job now to make a stand, not just for the laboratory, but for the return of democracy in the UK.
Tipu Aziz is a brain surgeon and a professor at Oxford University. The Speak campaign calls him an animal torturer. Professor Aziz experiments on monkeys in the university in order to develop treatments for Parkinson's disease and other movement disorders. He's one of the few scientists prepared to speak out. Why, Tipu, why do you think animal experimentation is so important?
Well, you see, I don't think there's an issue to that. I don't even think that there is a debate on that, because every medical therapy that exists today has come out of animal research, whether it's the tablets you buy in a pharmacist, or whether the major heart surgery they undergo, or the brain implants I do. All of it has come out of animal research.
Tipu's outspoken support for animal experimentation has made him a target. A website has placed him on a hit list for elimination.
Are you not scared for your life?
Yeah, but there's sometimes things you have to do. I mean, it's not animal research itself that seems important to me, which it is. It's my life. But I'm a first-generation immigrant from a third world, and Britain stood up as a great symbol of democracy. And I think this is a travesty of it, the situation we are in, that people are frightened to express their ideas in a free society or discuss the work they do. And that is as important to me as animal research.
The reason that most scientists are scared is that for 30 years, extreme parts of the animal rights movement have been fighting battles like this. In the 1980s, firebombs were planted in department stores which sold fur. The Animal Liberation Front gained public sympathy when it released cats and dogs from breeding farms. But by 1990, it was human beings involved in animal experimentation who were being targeted.
There on a table was a large cardboard tube. So I took it into the security services at the university the next morning, just handed it over to them, and they called me back later in the morning and said, well, you know, the police have x-rayed it, and actually it has a bomb in it, 1/2 pound of explosive, and it's got metal in it. It turned out that those were needles, and the subsequent letters that I got said that they were needles that contained HIV-infected blood. Would have gone off if the plugs had been pulled out at the end. I mean, the police said it was a pretty sophisticated and certainly lethal device.
However, not all the bombs were caught before they exploded. A child was caught in the shrapnel from one. Although the campaigners had achieved some of their aims, the mainstream press had turned against them, portraying them as psychopathic terrorists who put the life of a rat above that of a human child. In the last 5 years, the tactics have changed. Now activists target secondary suppliers and small investors. They've succeeded in closing down breeding farms. And most notoriously, they dug up the body of the mother-in-law of a guinea pig farmer. No matter how threatening they appear, Speak claims that unlike the Animal Liberation Front, they will stick to lawful protest.
Scum! Scum! That's S-C-U-M in case you can't spell.
But within its ranks are at least some who have been prepared to break the law. Brendan McNally was imprisoned in the 1980s for running a bomb-making factory in his Sheffield flat. John Curtin was imprisoned for blackmail, attempting to dig up a body, and violent disorder. And Mel Broughton himself, the leader of the campaign, has served 3 years inside.
I got arrested in possession of firebombs and firebomb making material.
What are you intending to do with it?
I will say quite openly that I had every intention of using them. I did, and I've said all along, and I'll be quite clear about this. I've got no regrets, none whatsoever. I've no regrets about being involved. I've no regrets about being involved in the ANF. I've no regrets about what happened when I was arrested. And had I not been stopped then, then I would have done. Exactly, because, well, again, that it's insignificant. It doesn't matter. The fact was it didn't happen, and I was stopped from doing it. But what I'm saying is that I would have done.
Beyond shouting is an ethical question as to whether it is right or effective to use animals in research. In the next few months, I'll not be able to judge the whole range of animal research. So I want to concentrate just on the experiments that Tipu Aziz and his colleagues carry out for movement disorders. Professor Aziz thinks the strongest arguments come from seeing the benefits.
If you don't see the patients, it would be very hard to put a context to why I feel so strongly about animal research. You take someone who's bound to a wheelchair, unable to move or look after themselves, and then suddenly they have surgery based on conclusions drawn from my primate research, and suddenly they're up again. They're restored to human dignity. And you see, to see that side is very important, because the animal rights extremists will have you see scientists as people who torture animals. They don't give you the context.
What's your name?
Shelley.
Where do you live?
Well, we're moving.
6 years ago, Sean Gardner's body began to go wrong.
It started when he was 7. Then by the age of 7.5, 8, his movement, he was walking with a small kind of twist.
The diagnosis was a rare movement disorder called dystonia.
I couldn't believe it at all. I always thought that it would get corrected, that I'm going to wake up one morning and everything's going to be back to normal, but just didn't work out like that.
Now Sean can hardly use any of his muscles. His mind is in full working order, but he can't even control his fingers to play computer games. He can only watch his brother.
To hear the kids outside playing, knowing that he can't do that, yeah, it's pretty bad.
In a few weeks' time, Sean will undergo a surgical technique that was partly developed using monkeys. It gives Sean's mum a special perspective on animal experimentation.
And what do you think about the idea that scientists experiments on animals?
I feel it's a shame that it has to be done in animals, but if it was your kid, if it was your own kid, and you have got something against using animals or whatever, when that day comes and you experience what Sean's went through, then, and there is any chance of getting an operation due to test on animals, then yeah, I do agree with it.
A few weeks after construction restarting, work continues despite the constant protest. A High Court injunction prevents anyone associated with the Speak campaign from standing within 50 yards of the site, apart from on one afternoon a week. The boundary is marked with red lines on the pavement. But the injunction doesn't stop them. On other days, they set up on the edge of the exclusion zone.
Do something useful today! Pack in your job! Go and get a proper job! Go and earn a living doing something useful! Do something for the community!
A crane is being delivered. The protesters are collecting the number plates of lorries and vans entering the site. They hope to trace the builders or any of their suppliers.
Go and get a job in McDonald's or whatever! Why have you got to work in this hellhole?
To achieve its aim, the campaign involves more than just standing outside the lab.
Demonstrating is only one part of it. I mean, it operates on lots of levels. A lot of work has to be done on basic intelligence, on trying to work out who's doing what and why. It makes it quite an important part of what we're doing, because the more you know about what you're up against, the more you can do to be effective in challenging it. I mean, it's standard practice with any campaign. The reason we come up here is because some time ago it was discovered that a company called Terex was supplying crane parts that were being used at the South Parks Road site, and we've done quite a lot of research and we've discovered, in fact, Terex do have a site here at Hayford.
Would you hope there'd be a campaign against, like, the contractors that you discover now, like there was against?
Well, that's something that I can't judge or can't say will or will not happen. The animal rights movement is a very big movement, and I can only, I'm a part of Speak, and we're bound by this High Court injunction, but others aren't.
The campaign against the lab is relentless and constant. Protesters often leaflet in the city centre.
We're not the same as an animal, are we? If we were, we'd be either swinging through trees or eating cat food and eating dog food.
But their methods don't seem that successful at winning hearts and minds.
They just shout.
For one onlooker, the barrage has made a real impression.
Well, I was sitting in a coffee shop and I heard Stop the Oxford Animal Lab. I decided to go out and shout my own slogan, Build the Oxford Animal Lab. They turned around and started shouting F off and so forth, and torture, I believe I was called. And, oh yes, human excrement. and I decided that wasn't on. I decided I deserve a right to free speech, and I went, got an A2 piece of card, marker pen, and made my own banner saying "Support progress, build the Oxford Animal Lab." If it weren't for police intervention, I'm pretty certain I would have been assaulted. One man, for example, came up to me with his dog and started shouting right in my face, "Do you want to torture my dog? Do you want to torture my dog?" One of them actually tried to grab my sign. I resisted and said, "No, please don't take my sign." But she ripped the corner off it, clearly striking a blow for free speech there. So I decided to start my own group in support of scientific research.
The arrival of Laurie Pycroft is an unexpected twist. But will a 16-year-old really be able to achieve anything when most of his elders are still too scared to speak?
I set up a website on the first day that protest existed, and within a day we were getting hundreds of hits.
Although he has only the embryo of an organisation, he has a very clear set of ideas.
We stand for scientific reasoning, but we're not an immoral organisation. We do respect the lives of animals and their right not to suffer, but we believe that the rights of humans come above that.
The struggle over the Oxford Lab heats up. This city has had a unique place in the war between scientists and animal rights activists. Many of the most famous battles have been fought on these streets. The modern animal rights movement actually began here 34 years ago. It was then that a group of radical vegans first challenged the idea that man should have dominion over animals. Chief among them was a young philosophy lecturer called Peter Singer. In Oxford in 1972, he invented the phrase animal liberation and wrote a book of the same name, which was based on one overriding principle.
I discuss in that the principle of equality that we are used to applying only to humans, and I ask, what is it, in virtue of what is it that we say all humans are equal? In the end, I think what you come down to say is, well, all humans have interests. They all have lives to lead. Their lives can go well or badly. And we shouldn't discount their interests in living a good life just because, for example, they're from a different country or a different race, or they're a woman and we're a man, or something of that sort. So in that sense, the same is true of animals. And there's no reason why we should give less consideration, less weight to the interests of a being just because it's not a member of our species.
In the 1970s, Singer revealed the routine abuse inflicted on animals as they were tested for cosmetics and put under extreme stress, and that 5 million were slaughtered for animal research every year. But what made Singer really controversial was saying that experimenting on animals was not much different to testing on children.
Humans, that is, normal humans beyond infancy, are different from animals in that they have higher rational capacities and can reason and so on. But not all humans are like that, of course. Infants are not, and those with severe intellectual disability are not. Yet we still think that they matter morally. We still never treat them in the way we treat animals in experiments, for example, although humans, humans would be a better model in many ways. But we don't say, oh, well, here we have some humans who are at the same level of reasoning as a pig or a dog, so we can use them as we would use a pig or a dog. We don't do that.
Singer's claim that animals are equal to humans is at the heart of the debate. And it's what those in favour of animal experimentation most disagree with.
It's great to be pleasant to animals. I'm not denying that. One of the things that allows us to say that we are truly above the other animals is that we have compassion for lower life forms. That compassion shouldn't extend to putting ourselves out.
Singer's book became a bestseller and its ideas were profoundly influential. In the last 30 years, there have been many changes to how scientists use animals. The number of animals used in experiments has almost halved. Research is no longer allowed on chimpanzees or higher apes, or for cosmetics. And now to get a license to carry out research involves demonstrating that the harm to animals is worth the potential benefit to patients. So 30 years after Singer wrote his book, what's an animal experiment like today? Carolyn Lacey is a neuroscientist at Oxford University. Like Tipu Aziz, she studies the part of the brain that goes wrong in movement disorders. She uses rats.
He's got nice fur, so nice and sleek, and his eyes are not watery, so that means they're not infected. So we're just going to pick him up if he wants to come. There you go. And put him in this cage to be transported. Because he is very happy still, not scared.
Are you going to name him?
What do you want to be named? Philip?
Do you name each of your rats, Carolyn?
Yeah, I do, but most people don't.
And why do you name them?
I quite like to have a friendship with my rats, because I think of them not as a number, but as my friends, because they're helping me discover things that can help medical research. And if I was going to be part of a medical research experiment, I wouldn't want a number. I'd want to be talked to with my name. Now, I don't want you to be afraid of this. So what's going to happen is he's going to start falling a little bit, because it's like getting drunk, like most people when they have anaesthetic. You can see he's trying to figure out where he is, and now the anaesthetic is setting in a little bit, so he's wobbling. Now this isn't hurting him in any way, he's just feeling a bit drunk, a bit woozy, and soon he'll fall asleep. He'll give up fighting. You see? He's getting more and more woozy. I'm just going to lay him down here to sleep for a little bit longer.
To witness this scene is confusing. Fast asleep in Carolyn's lab, Philip looks almost cute, but I'd have no qualms about killing a rat if it appeared in my kitchen. When the animal rights activists call people like, you know, that they call you, people like you torturers.
Yeah.
And how do you feel when they call you torturers?
I'm just amazed by it, because they have absolute no knowledge really of what really goes on in the animal houses, and you can see here from what I've done that we're not torturing the rats. None of us are animal torturers in the way that any of us would want to hurt the rats. I mean, if I was hurting a rat, I wouldn't be happy at all. In fact, I'd stop, because I don't want to hurt my rats. They're here to help me, and I don't want to give them any pain. So now we're just bringing him into the surgery room, and we're going to put him, place him just on this blanket, which is temperature controlled. So the next stage will be the surgery, which will involve cutting open the skull and showing the cranium of the brain, and then we will insert the electrode.
Although it seems that the animal is being treated kindly and it's suffering no pain, never far away is the thought that he's about to have his head opened up and an electrode inserted into his brain. So why would anyone do this?
We're trying to analyse single cells in the brain. These are the cells that degenerate in Parkinson's disease, and so it is important for us to understand those cells at a basic fundamental level and how they function in a normal brain in order to understand what goes wrong, and then we can put all this data together about its physiological characteristics, i.e. how it fires, how it looks, and how it connects to other brain areas in order to understand that cell much more for therapeutic strategies. So once we're in the brain actually doesn't feel pain, obviously, because the brain is what processes pain. So the actual brain itself doesn't feel pain. So once we're in the brain with the electrode, the rat won't be able to feel it, even if he was awake.
Seeing a rat with a wire in its head seems a long way from benefiting human patients. But for hundreds of years, it's basic experiments like this that have given doctors the foundation on which to build new therapies.
At this stage, that all medical advances are made. It's often not in a doctor's surgery or a hospital. It's at this stage the medical advances are made, and I think there is little awareness of that in the public. And we're not being cruel to animals in order to do this, but we're trying to help everyone with our medical research.
Are you not scared of talking?
No, I think it's important that there's a balanced view of the public, because right now scientists have kept quite quiet about what we do, as if we're afraid or we have something to hide. But we don't have anything to hide. It's just we're quite happy with what we do. We keep quiet because we work hard. And so I think it's important now for us to stand up for our rights. Now that things are getting a bit out of hand in Oxford and we're being treated like criminals. And I think it's important that awareness is made, because I'm proud of what I do and I'm not afraid to stand up for medical research.
At the end of the day, Philip is put down with an overdose of painkiller and incinerated. Whilst the 500,000 rats that are killed in labs every year might seem like a lot, it pales into insignificance compared to the almost 10 million that are killed by pest control. Set against these disturbing scenes is the thought that experiments like these have paved the way for scientists to benefit human life. In the past, scientists have been able to map the different parts of the brain by using rodents, cats, and other lower animals. As a result of hundreds of years of medical advance, there is now an operation that may alleviate Sean's condition.
He might be able to play a computer again, he might be able to feed himself or shower himself or go to the toilet or walk again. They don't guarantee how much they're going to get back. Hopefully he'll get some mobility back, and it's going to be a very difficult time. Scary, very scary.
Sean's operation was developed using the most contentious of species, monkeys.
If we want to understand things like circulation, we can use a rat. If we want to understand how the guts work, we can use a rat. The reason monkeys are important to me is because monkeys are bipedal. They use hands like I do. And if I want to understand how to alleviate movement disorders, I look to monkeys. One chooses the species of animal one uses that is relevant to the problem that you're trying to answer.
But even if animal experiments are effective, not everybody thinks they're right.
And Sean, what do you think about scientists experimenting on animals?
I think it's sick.
You think it's sick?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's wrong to experiment on animals. Sean, do you think it would be better for you to be an experimental subject rather than a monkey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Christmas Day. For now, work has stopped at the animal lab, but for the protesters, it's business as usual.
I don't celebrate Christmas anyway. I mean, the bottom line is most of us don't, because for most of us, the realisation is that it's just a festival of death, you know, just another day of death, you know, and killing. And I don't see that's anything to celebrate at all, far from it. I don't want any part of it.
It's hard not to admire Mel's commitment to a cause, but I wonder if his passion is being driven by a desire to belong to the family of protesters.
Best people I've ever met have been in the animal rights movement. I've never met people like it, and I mean that. And I've been involved, in other things in the past, but I've never met people like these. Really haven't. I know people are not involved in animal rights. I know people outside animal rights, but they're not. I don't even consider them particularly friends, because at the end of the day, there always comes a point where, if I was invited to someone's house, and someone you would call a friend outside the animal rights movement, and I had this experience recently, and they sit down and start eating meat from me, and then at that point it has to end. The people I would call real friends are here.
The more time I spend with Mel, the more it seems like he doesn't exist beyond his campaign.
I mean, this is it. I mean, I live and breathe the campaign. There's no getting away from it. It's 7 days a week, it's 24 hours a day. That I just live it. I don't go on holiday. I don't particularly go out anywhere. This is what my life is fighting this. This is what it's about.
So this is all you do?
Well, yeah, because it demands the time, it demands the effort that you've got to put in. We're up against huge concerns here, huge vested interests, huge financial and institutional interests, and to think that you can somehow fight this a weekend or something is quite clearly nonsense.
In his campaign headquarters, Laurie's free time is increasingly being taken up by dealing with correspondence.
You people are sick, your organisation is a joke. Fuck you, you fucking scum. Imagine how you would feel if you had needles being stuck up your fat asses 247. Apparently I am the devil incarnate and I'm a sick, sick, sick fuck. Fucking scum. See how clever you are, fuckers, when your house is burnt down. Bastards, scum, scum, scum. You're the ugliest little scrote you could possibly find.
It's becoming apparent that Laurie is no ordinary teenager.
From quite an early age, I wasn't interested in the same sort of things that most children are interested in. Whilst I wouldn't use the word special, I'd definitely say I'm not the average.
Beyond protest, Laurie has big ambitions to become a surgeon.
Yeah, this is the heart I keep on my mantelpiece. A few years ago now, 4 years ago now, I was dissecting a heart, which I fairly regularly do, just because I find it interesting. This is a lamb's heart, I believe, and I cut it in half and sewed it back together for practicing my surgical needle skills. And I did what at the time I thought was a rather good job, so I decided to pickle it and I put it on my mantelpiece, where it's been ever since.
It's 2006